Is Predator Badlands actually as badass as a lot of people are saying? Or does someone from Disney have a plasma caster pointed at their heads? We just got out to the theater and we definitely have some thoughts. Warning! Major spoilers ahead. Badlands revolves around Dek, the weakest member of a hella serious Yautja clan. In fact, he's so weak that his own father tries to kill him. You know, since the machismo culture on Yautja Prime makes the worst of it on Earth look progressive in comparison. Thanks to his brother standing up for him and getting killed instead, Dek makes an escape to another planet, Genna, otherwise known as the Death Planet. Here, he plans to seek redemption and prove himself by killing a creature so ridiculous that even the most worthy of his brethren are too scared to face it, the Kalisk. He faces the many dangers of Genna alone at first, learning through trial and error what he must do to survive in a place where pretty much everything wants him dead, even the plants. But then he meets Thea, a Weyland-Yutani synthetic that narrowly escaped an attack from the Kalisk. Most of her other synthetic buddies weren't so lucky, except for an identical one named Tessa, who is basically Thea's evil twin. And yes, that's the same Weyland-Yutani from the Alien franchise. There's that tie-in we all knew was coming. Why are they there? They want to snag the Kalisk and exploit it for all it's worth, duh. But Thea doesn't tell Dek about this. She tells him just enough to get him to agree to help her find her bottom half, in exchange for her helping him navigate the wilderness and complete his mission. Just as you're getting used to the unlikely rapport between the two, they also meet a friendly female alien along the way, which Thea decides to name Bud. Before long, the goofy ET spits on Dek, marking him as family. So cute. When they finally come upon the Kalisk, Dek learns 3 important things about it. The thing can regenerate after being decapitated, Weyland-Yutani wants to use its genes to create a miracle drug, and, it's Bud's mother, which means that it's sort of his mother too now. The cuteness continues. Things look dire for a minute after Tessa shows up and captures Thea, Dek, and the Kalisk. But of course, Dek manages to escape and comes up with a plan to save them. He and Bud do in fact save the day, but Bud's mom dies in the process, as does Tessa. The movie ends with Dek returning to Yautja Prime and killing his father, the real monster. And just as you think Dek is going to live happily ever after with his newfound family, a spaceship appears on the horizon. Turns out, it's his mother! Credits roll. Does any of that sound like a Predator movie? The only right answer is no. The truth is that Badlands is essentially a Disney Star Wars flick, but with predators. The action sequences, the CGI, the dialogue, the music, the heartwarming themes of redemption and family. Everything about it screams Disney. It's even rated PG-13. When we went to see it, the theater was filled with little kids. There's definitely plenty of violence, but it's cartoonish in comparison to every other Predator film before it. If you're expecting to see arms getting blown off or spines ripped out of corpses, you're out of luck. There's also the fact that the Predator is the protagonist, which really rubbed us the wrong way when it was first announced. Little did we know how much Dek actually talks throughout the movie. Not gonna lie, it's a lot to get used to. As for the alien crossover element, it looms pretty large. This isn't a new thing, of course. We got pretty acclimated to it thanks to Alien vs. Predator and AVP Requiem. While fans have long argued about whether or not they are actually canon, mostly because of their self-contained nature, it looks like it's pretty much a non-negotiable thing now. It's possibly the most important element in Badlands, thanks to Dek's team-up with Thea and the fact that they seem to be sticking with each other for the long haul. All of that being said, a second and more important question arises. Does any of what we just touched on mean the movie is bad? No is the right answer once again. It's totally fine if you can step back and accept the ugly truth about the Predator franchise as a whole. It's never been consistent. Like, ever. We'll elaborate more on that in a moment. Dek as the protagonist actually works pretty well, despite how cringy it might sound to longtime Predator fans. The main reason is that human beings aren't a part of Dek's story, at least directly. Yes, they built Thea and Tessa, but other than that, their presence isn't felt whatsoever. So since Dek is technically closer to being human than his synthetic companion, being that he's actually alive, not to mention filled with sympathetic emotions, it doesn't feel weird to root for him as he goes on a stereotypical hero's journey. Beyond that, Dek and Thea's relationship is legitimately enjoyable.
I could help you.
As both critics and fans have mentioned, the two of them almost have a Din Grogu thing going on, an apt comparison considering the whole Disney thing. The same can be said for Dex's relationship with Bud. No matter how confused and/or angry you might be about how goofy it all might seem in comparison to every other Predator movie that came before it, Badlands manages to tug on your heartstrings in all the right ways. As for the Weyland-Yutani inclusion in the plot, we don't think it gets in the way at any point. Despite the inherent cheapness of crossover stuff, it doesn't feel like it was added just for the sake of ensuring the plausibility of more sequels. You can't deny that the company wanting to use a Kalisk to create and market a superdrug makes a lot of sense. Plus, like we said before, the franchise already went there 20 years ago. We're used to it by now. And seriously, the script is extremely solid on a technical level. They really took the time to craft a narrative that hits all the beats and satisfies our subconscious desire for a story to actually make sense and unfold at the right pace. Okay, as promised, let's talk about how the Predator franchise has never been consistent. Watching Badlands really reminded us of how much the franchise has changed since Dutch went all Mean Girls on a single Predator back in 1987.
You're one ugly mother.
It can't be denied that they never really captured the same energy as the OG. Predator 2 had similar elements, sure, but they turned the campiness up to 11 in almost every way, and even threw Gary Busey into the mix for good measure.
That's right, Lieutenant. Otherworld life forms.
Huh?
Alien.
More than a decade later, they veered way off course and decided to attach a facehugger to the franchise with Alien vs. Predator and Aliens vs. Predator Requiem, both of which, as we mentioned before, aren't even considered canon by a lot of fans. After that, we got Predators, which totally flipped the script and thrust a bunch of humans into unfamiliar territory, as opposed to the Predators.
This planet is a game preserve. And we're the game.
It was okay, but forgettable, and it had no effect on the franchise as a whole, really. Then came The Predator, which, yeah, we don't even need to talk about that abomination. Suffice to say, it was an insult to fans and pretty much anyone with a functional brainstem that hasn't been ripped out by a predator. After that came 2022's Prey, which was yet another considerable departure from the expected, but also universally loved. Then came the animated feature, Predator Killer of Killers, which was also fine, all things considered. That being said, the inconsistent nature of the movies throughout the years is kind of the bottom line reason we're totally okay with the direction they took with Badlands. Hollywood has always played fast and loose with the franchise, and maintaining a sensible through line has never been a top priority for them. So in this era of reboots and sequels, we have to give credit where credit is due. At least they found a way to make Badlands enjoyable without harming the integrity of any of the previous movies. There's no retconning here or CGI ghosts or any of the other stuff that rubs us the wrong way whenever they decide to reboot a beloved IP. Badlands is what it is, and it's pretty easy to just pretend it doesn't exist if that's what you feel compelled to do. Enough about what we think. What are critics and fans saying about Badlands? As of this video, the vast majority of people seem to love it. For instance, YouTube reviewer Perry Nemiroff was pretty taken aback by how much she enjoyed it, and specifically called out the unexpected joy she found in Dec and Thea's relationship.
Well, good luck with your journey.
She said, "I don't think I'll ever get over the fact that we have a Predator film that's essentially an alien and robot buddy movie. It's so refreshing to see a film franchise dish out something so unexpected." In a sparkling 4-star review for RogerEbert.com, Matt Seitz touched on how it's a solid entry for both old and new fans alike, writing, "It's a memorable entry in the Predator franchise, with enough familiar situations and high-tech hunting gear to satisfy hardcore fans of the series, but a story that stands alone. Most impressively, it's a sincere consideration of what it means to be human, even though there are 0 humans in it. A small amount of others were not so enthused by Dan Trachtenberg's fresh take on the franchise. For example, the last line of The Guardian's scathing review reads, "The sheer pointlessness of everything that happens subtracts the oxygen, and even Fanning's imperishable star quality can't save it." Oof! Meanwhile, reviewer Christian Toto focused on the AI aspect of the script, writing, "The story itself is easy to follow, but in 2025 there's something a bit off about a synthetic hero and our willingness to enjoy her human-like qualities. That landed differently in the past. especially with the mighty Data on Star Trek The Next Generation. Now with AI threatening to overturn so much of society, you decide. Definitely an interesting point considering the ongoing debate surrounding AI in the real world. And we do think it's pretty obvious how the powers behind the AI revolution have some serious sway in Hollywood. But seriously, is anyone looking to a Predator movie for a thoughtful take on current events? Yeah, most people would probably prefer to keep Predator movies in the escapism pile. After walking out of the theater, we couldn't help but wonder where the franchise might be headed next. Dex' mother showing up is definitely an interesting development. Will she be psyched about Dex sticking it to his old man and prevailing against all odds? Maybe. Will she be pissed that he iced her bae? Also maybe. Either way, things are definitely set up for another installment. But really though, can we even trust Predator movies at this point? Do the endings ever actually mean anything? Don't forget how many times we've been lied to over the years. Remember the whole bit about Yautja just splicing their own DNA with human DNA in the Predator? Or that crazy suit they left behind at the end?
That's my new suit, Bubba. Hope they got it in 42 long.
Yeah, nothing ever came of that. The same can be said for the endings of almost all of the previous installments before Badlands. So, who knows if they'll even follow through with the whole Dex mom plot point. Man, maybe we'll do a video on that in the future. All of the empty promises made at the end of Predator movies. Would you all be into that? Let us know in the comments.